So haunted, we're doing a paranormal investigation of this location live on the air. Though this is not an in-person event, you can still listen to this on the radio, but we suggest you watch us live on Facebook to see if any ghosts show up on camera. So after you take the kiddies out trick-or-treating, join us Tuesday, October 31st for a special Halloween episode of GhostBox Radio starting at 8 p.m. only on AM 950.
Reach your highest level of consciousness and well-being with MetamorphosisConnections.com. MetamorphosisConnections.com is an online directory of the best holistic and metaphysical practitioners to help you make your most informed choices. You can search MetamorphosisConnections.com for classes, events, wellness and life coaches, plus metaphysical products and shops. You can also search for a wide array of healers from all modalities, including EFT, sound healing, energy healing, light therapy, ancestral healing, shamanic healing, reflexology, past life regressions, hypnotherapy, yoga, and more. And if you're not sure where to start, the search feature on MetamorphosisConnections.com is tailored to help both those who know what they are looking for and those who are just starting. Come explore the possibilities for your higher self by visiting MetamorphosisConnections.com. Their experienced practitioners can guide both beginners and those that are already on their spiritual journey. That's MetamorphosisConnection.com, your link to direct you on your spiritual transformation.
This Halloween, visit and investigate one of the most haunted houses in Minnesota, the Boyd House, located in Boyd, Minnesota, just 2 hours southwest of the Twin Cities. Other people who have investigated the house heard audible, disembodied voices, seen shadows and apparitions, and so much more. Book your overnight investigation at BoydHouse217.com. No need for a hotel. You could stay in the house if you dare.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Showers and thunderstorms continue tonight with a low of 51, then Wednesday cloudy with a high of 60. Latunji's Palette is a social enterprise business built with purpose and fortified with love. Discover the best peach cobbler in the world at Latunji's Palette, 1400 Park Avenue South in Minneapolis. Visit the website at latunjispalette.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us, share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story, this is our story. This is GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun.
And this is GhostBox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakun, and thank you very much for joining me tonight on this very rainy Tuesday evening. Wow. It's just the harbinger of winter, folks. Don't forget that. It's on its way. Look out. Here it comes. It was actually quite a bit of rain coming into the station tonight. But luckily, all of the insects that are still alive, they've been able to find safety inside this building. I found a number of them on my way down here. And, of course, the studio itself is in, like, the, near the core of the earth. So we have that going for me also. So it's a lot of good stuff. And I spent the day, actually, creating, because I want to do this, every Saturday and Sunday we run what we call the best of GhostBox Radio. It's a name. It doesn't mean that it's truly what that is. But what we do is we rerun an episode, but we spent some time today to actually take and edit parts of the episodes. So each episode of the best of GhostBox Radio is going to be 3 guests in one episode. So basically everything that you might have heard before, we kind of condense it down. We take some of the best bits, and I'm really excited about it because, going back, there's been some really great conversations. And as a reminder, everybody, if you want to hear the full episodes of what we have run, go to ghostboxradio.com. We have a lot of the episodes there. We are going to be opening up at some point for the entire library. That's about 8 years worth of radio from all the different stations I've been at and whatnot doing the show. So lots of cool stuff, lots of great interviews, and unfortunately interviews with people who are no longer with us as well. So it's quite the treasure trove of information. Once we have that figured out, we'll be talking more about it. Speaking of treasure trove, better near late than ever, Michael, having Michael join us, Michael J. Worden. We are having him on today, author. He's been on the Travel Channel. He's such a wealth of information and such a good person. And Michael, it's good to have you on tonight. Welcome to GhostBox Radio.
Thank you, Greg. I'm always excited to talk to you and be on the air and talk about my favorite topics in the world.
Well, absolutely. Oh, if we're talking about my favorite topics in the world, we're talking T-bone steak, I think. That's kind of these days. But how have you been doing?
Not too bad. Out here, it's been rainy as well. We had actually pretty nice weather today in the Northeast, but winter's definitely coming. It's in the air.
It really is. Now, what area are you? I'm sorry. It's the same questions we ask every single time, isn't it? But what area are you out east?
I am in Orange County, New York. So it's about 60 miles or so, I guess, north of New York City. If you drop a pin on a map where New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania meet on that little tiny point, that's where I am.
Okay.
Exactly right there in the tri-state area.
Wow. I mean, I've been out in that area for, like the Warrens do their convention every year. And so I was out at the first one. I think that was in Danbury, Connecticut. And so, I mean, that was my exposure to going out east, in October. And that was really cool. I'm not gonna lie. That was really neat. And, I just love driving around, in that area. And, like you said, I mean, we're visiting states, like we're going just up the block. I mean, they're so close together compared to out here, where it just, states are hundreds of miles away from each other, not as much so as even going out west. So it was really a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, it's Danbury is not ultimately very far from me either. If we take 84, and just around here, this foliage this year has been gorgeous. The trees, the different colors. I mean, it's that last bout of beauty before everything just dies and becomes cold and miserable.
Now, are you going to the Warren convention?
No, I've never gone to it. It's something I would definitely love to do at some point, though.
I wanted to get Tony Spera on. For those who don't know, Tony is the basically the owner of the real Annabelle doll, and we've had him on a couple times before, and I think he's just been too busy with the convention to come on or answer my emails. So you got that as well. That's what I'd like to say, Michael. He's just been too busy to answer my emails.
How do I get on the convention circuit? I got to get that going. Help me out there, somebody.
I don't know why you're not, to be honest. I don't either. I'm surprised. Your series on Travel Channel was Haunted Hotels, wasn't it?
Hotel Paranormal. Yep.
Oh.
Hotel Paranormal.
Same thing, Michael. Yeah.
2 seasons hosted by Dan Aykroyd.
Gosh. Yeah, why aren't you on?
I don't know. A great series, by the way. I mean, they did a really good job with it, and some really great stories throughout the US and even other parts of the world, and just I'm hoping they do another season at some point.
Well, everything's kind of on hold, isn't it? It sounds like in that world of television.
Yeah, we filmed the first season was filmed in January of 2019. We went up to Canada to film it. And then, of course, the world in 2020, or I'm sorry, it was January of 2020, actually. Sure. Everything went to, how that went, and then we did season 2. They sent film crews to New York to film us at a hotel. And, they rented out a banquet hall area and set up a studio. But so I'm sure that didn't help. I know a lot of production companies are still recovering from those few years.
My show got canceled because of that. My show that was never made. My show that was close to being made. I was about to join the Travel Channel as well, And they, once again, like the Tony Sparrow, maybe he's not responding because he's too busy. We were told that our show wasn't going to be picked up because a lot of shows that were going to be picked up weren't going to be picked up because of the pandemic. It was just at that time. And so, just one of those things. It's how it works. But I've always been curious. So when you're doing your bits for the program, how long are you shooting? Like for yourself, how long are you shooting?
I want to say it was a good half day of just sitting in front of the camera.
For the whole season then is for that. Okay.
Yep. Maybe. And I think the one season they actually did 2 days. So we were there for so many hours one day and then came back the next day. And it's just a lot of questions, a lot of answers, repeating answers, as you know, so that it sounds good for the camera.
Yep.
They may, and there's no script with it, which is nice because, everything that I'm saying is because I want to say it. I'm not repeating what other people want me to say. I've had that issue with producers in the past where they want you to say things you don't believe in. And they may like what you say. And then of course, listen, repeat that, what you just said, but say it with the same enthusiasm 5 times. Like,
well, and that's just it too. It's like, and there's a show that I won't name because that would probably disappoint a lot of people to hear it. That I know that I had a couple of friends appear on, and the people who produced it did not give a crap whatsoever about whether you believe in the paranormal, whether you are going to answer correctly. And unfortunately, I feel like that can be, well, maybe it's not the norm. Maybe I'm being too harsh on it because I'm kind of thinking in my mind of like some of the big shows like Ghost Hunters and stuff. And I do think that they're allowed to do what they want to do, but I think the shows that have people who are a little bit greener, I think that they're easier to take kind of control on. And I think that's why people like Nick Groff is off doing his own thing, so he doesn't have to answer to any network. I know that's why Brandon Elvis and Mustafa, they're off doing Haunted Discoveries. And I've heard Dave Schrader is trying to create something as well, because I think everyone is tired of the kind of the way that some of these networks work. And I'm not going to ask you to comment on it because you might still be employed with one of them. I don't want to put you in a place, but I just something I've been seeing a lot over the course of my time doing this. So what we wanted to do tonight, and Michael is very kind to join. I wanted to have kind of a discussion about just aliens and whatever else. Michael was very kind to remind me that Halloween is coming up. So, we could talk about spirits, we could talk about whatever else. And folks, you listening, if you're watching on Facebook, you could put in a question if you want in the chat. We can answer them, especially if you have questions for Michael. Michael's also an incredible published author, has written some very good books. Are you working on anything at the moment?
yes. So I'm working on another true crime book. It's a local crime to where I am, 1903. Love triangle murder, I think personally, and led to someone going to the electric chair, and it occurred 2 doors up from where I grew up, which no one had even heard of it. So
Wow.
I grew up on this street and had been in the house hundreds of times growing up, and very fascinating story. And of course, I'm always delving into ghosts, UFOs, and back in college, so I'm sort of doing like a whole bunch of things at once.
Well, but you're retired now from
Yes.
The police force,
Yes.
which is also it's amazing how it all ties together for you in terms of what your interests are and in your career as well. It couldn't be more perfect, quite honestly.
Yeah. Well, law enforcement, ultimately it's, especially as a detective, you're driven by curiosity.
Yeah.
Always asking questions, always looking for answers. So to me, whether you're investigating a criminal case in the real world, or you're looking into something unknown, that needs explaining, ghost, aliens and stuff, you're still looking for facts. You're sifting through all the nonsense to get to the truth of things. And that to me, the thrill of the hunt. You can't.
And I think we talked about this before. I think that's why that we do find so many police officers that are paranormal investigators, right? Or people in law enforcement to kind of broaden it out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Even EMTs, first responders, anybody that's really out there on a regular basis, just, spending hours of their day either dealing with people, even EMTs, you're responding to emergencies, you're thinking quickly on your feet, you're solving a problem that's in front of you at that moment, stabilizing someone to get them to a hospital. So it's that curiosity. It drives a lot of people.
And I think of a peer of yours, a fellow writer, Richard Estep. He's I believe he's an EMT, right? Day job, and then he's a writer of a lot of great books as well. So it is really interesting, and I suspect, based on what little I know on this, but I've seen like programs where we see a lot of military people that take part in this. I would assume that a lot of law enforcement take part in this too, that join like MUFON, for example, as well, for the same sort of reasons you just detailed about those who want to take part in paranormal investigating.
Yes, absolutely. I think it takes a certain kind of person, I think, to want to pursue this field to any level and be taken seriously. I think that's really the important part too. We don't just want to pursue it and find answers if you're not going to have a level of credibility behind you and integrity, so that when you put things out there, you're not running around claiming everything is paranormal. Not every light in the sky is a UFO. You're able to distill through the explainable to find those very few things, a few nuggets that can't be.
Absolutely. Now, you've never been a part of MUFON though, right?
No, nope.
Did you ever have any desire? Because I mean, you're a big, you're a big alien guy.
It's something I've looked at. It's just that right now the free time to do much more of anything is really so bad. So I sort of, I do my thing, and maybe when I'm back in college, I'm not really sure why I'm doing that, but why not, right? Online, of course, but still, it's taking a lot of time. So hopefully,
you're back in college.
Yeah, online, going for a history degree.
Oh, fantastic! Is that an undergrad or a master, or what you doing?
It's an undergrad.
Oh,
right
fantastic!
Now.
Good for you.
I'll kind of go from there. I'm more than halfway done with a degree when I left to become a cop.
Yeah,
I was really just a handful of credits away from a degree in my previous field. So, sort of a goal I've always wanted to do. And since I'm writing historical true crime, a history degree seemed like a good complement to that.
Well, they should almost just give it to you with the books you've written, to be honest.
I had someone describe them, my last two books, as doctoral theses, basically.
Honestly, they're like, here, you need to do a capstone or a thesis, and you could just be like, well, here's my library of books I've written, and then drop the mic and walk out, quite frankly. I've thought about going back as well. I've gone back twice now. I went back for my undergrad, I went back for my master's, and then I thought about doing a doctorate, but then I saw the price attached to that, and I thought, I think I'm doing all right over here. I'm probably the most educated radio host there is. I don't know how many of them have masters anyway. So why don't we go ahead and do this? Let's get in earnest with this conversation after our first break. When we come back, Michael and I are going to be talking about aliens, going to be talking about ghosts. If you have questions for Michael or myself or both, or just statements about this stuff, put in the comments. We'll talk about it. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950.
Dead of night and siren song, seasons change, shadows grow long. Creatures of the night come out to play, the veil is thinning day by day. Pumpkin spice and cinnamon sticks, baby mages and magic tricks. This, my dears, is the season of the witch. So move with caution if you dare, it smells like Samhain in the air. Whatever potions you may be brewing, Magus Books has supplies for your working. Visit us at 1848 Central Avenue Northeast in Minneapolis, or magusbooks.com.
Hello, I'm Jody, also known as Witch Jody on social media. I opened Midwest Witchery and Healing in historic Stillwater because as a nurse, I love to help others. When you come and visit Midwest Witchery and Healing, you will find everything from divination and magical services, classes to ritual tools, jewelries, handcrafted candles, witchy gear, and much more. My store is a safe environment for all on their own unique path. Look for the purple door. Find out more at MidwestWitcheryHealing.com.
This Halloween, visit and investigate one of the most haunted houses in Minnesota, the Boyd House. located in Boyd, Minnesota, just 2 hours southwest of the Twin Cities. Other people who have investigated the house heard audible, disembodied voices, seen shadows and apparitions, and so much more. Book your overnight investigation at BoydHouse217.com. No need for a hotel. You could stay in the house if you dare. Ghost Stories and Beyond returns to Billy's Bar and Grill in Anoka November 1st at 6:30 p.m. Join Char Savoy and myself, Greg Bakun, as we host our special guest, artist Nicholas Harper, the owner of Rogue Buddha Gallery in Minneapolis. His paintings are haunting and beautiful. Come out and see some of his work and understand his artistic process. It's $10 a ticket to join in, and we'll see you on November 1st at 6:30 p.m. at Billy's in Anoka. Don't forget, burgers will be half price. We are a week away from our very special, massive, live GhostBox Radio broadcast on Halloween. It's going to start at 8 p.m., goes to 11, 3-hour tour of kind of a paranormal investigation as well as a radio show. This is going to be quite the thing. And this is going to be, we're actually going to be doing this from Midwest Witchery and Healing in Stillwater, Minnesota. This is not an event for people to show up to, but what it is, it's going to be a live broadcast that you can tune in. You can listen to it on the radio. We're going to be broadcasting on the radio, but I would suggest, if you're able to watch it on Facebook, because watching it on Facebook, because it's a paranormal investigation, we're going to have cameras set up all over this place, night vision cameras and stuff, that it's going to be possibly very interesting. I can't guarantee the ghosts. I can't guarantee that they're going to show up. We've asked, they also have not returned my emails, but it's the best that we can do, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And after you go out and take the kids trick-or-treating, why don't you come on out and, listen to us and watch us on October 31st at 8 p.m. Speaking of Halloween plans, we have Michael J. Worden with us, author, podcaster as well. Also been on been on some television, Hotel Paranormal, a lot of good stuff there. And Michael, do you have big Halloween plans this year?
My big plans are taking my 7-year-old son trick-or-treating around the neighborhood and just enjoying my favorite day of the year.
Honestly, I think that's what more could you want? Honestly, I mean, isn't that the kind of the joy of bringing a child out and having what's he dressing as?
He wants to be a ghost, and he wants a traditional sheet with holes as eyes, and that's it. That's what he wants to be.
Oh, that's fantastic. So. Good for him. That's gonna be a lot of fun. We are talking tonight with Michael J. Worden, and we are going to be discussing aliens and ghosts. And once again, if you have any questions, go ahead, put them in the chat. We will tackle them. Michael, do you still do the UFO podcast?
Yes. Linda Zimmerman and I both do UFO Headquarters. Okay. It's done on a monthly basis. So we do a new episode every month. And, initially we started out really exploring the Hudson Valley region here in New York, where we live and work. But we have since branched out, and largely because we find that there's so much interrelation and interconnectedness between UFO sightings around the world, a lot of commonalities. And, for years, the Hudson Valley has a very haunted reputation where we are.
Yeah.
But it's also has some of the largest UFO flaps probably anywhere in the world, and still to this day has areas that are pretty active with UFO sightings. And so we've always wondered, what's the connection there? Are these things all interrelated? But, as everything else in this field, there's more questions than answers.
Right. Absolutely there is. Now, did you watch the Travel Channel Hudson Valley special that had Ben, was it Ben on there, and Melissa Tittle, and what are you okay, well, we'll just leave it at that.
Well, I will say that Linda and I spent several years with a production company on a Hudson Valley UFO pilot
okay
program where they sent multiple crews came up to film us in the Hudson Valley region, to interview us extensively on camera. And then after we were providing them with a lot of information, a lot of background and investigative information on things we would approach, sprang on us that they wanted it to be a vehicle for somebody else in the UFO field. So I don't know if that's the same crew or not, but we were very unhappy about that.
Here's the thing, and folks, and I see so many people in this field who want so badly to get their TV show and get their fame. Stand by. This is not abnormal what Michael just said. This is a cruel business. It really is. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, especially when you're putting the work into it and whatnot. One of the things that I find very fascinating that I want to try very badly is going to bring a book. Actually, Char Savoy had lent me a book about C5 communication. And I've wanted to do C5 communication for a while, especially at this time of year, because number one, I want to go somewhere that's kind of flat and open, and also where there isn't going to be ticks and stuff like that. Have you ever tried anything like that?
Oh, and you mentioned ticks, so I already started to get itchy over here.
Right. It's just like they have no.
I don't know how that is out by you, but here they are everywhere. But
let's this way, it's not great. Okay, they're probably in this station for all I know. This is their headquarters, my guess.
Yeah, they even in the winter here, the ticks don't go away anymore. It's
that's what
we don't have Minnesota weather, I guess.
Oh no, that's very true.
But
we really tried it.
No, and a lot of the stuff we do has been very traditional, very, I guess, very run of the mill. We haven't really branched out a lot of more experimental avenues, I guess would be the right way to put it. And it's not because we don't really believe in any of that. It's just we found what works for us and have really stuck with a formula, whether it's on investigating aliens, alien encounters or reports, or whether it's investigating someone's alleged haunting at their house.
Sure.
Sort of like I don't want to say it's an official protocol, but we've really fit into a niche that we work well in, and we tend not to deviate too much from that.
Do you go and you try to reach out to aliens, or do you just kind of go and like watch to see if you get any sort of craft or anything that you can't explain in the skies?
We usually do like the sky watch where you're out looking. Now, I have not been there, but Linda has been there when other people have used things like lights or lasers and tried to signal and things, but it's not something I've done, or I don't think I would do in that case either.
Sure. I've used Spirit Box actually to try to reach out, and I've had some, dare I say, horrific results where can I prove what I'm saying? Can I say without a shadow of a doubt that I got alien interaction? No, but when you're asking for something. And I did it actually on a live Facebook. Some people on here might have even seen it at one point where I was using Spirit Box, and I ramped it up to go to the fastest speed on it. Then it starts going faster than what the speed is for the Spirit Box. And at one point I hear, and this is all recorded, "We are coming." And I said, "Are you coming to the Earth, or are you coming for me?" And the response was, "For you." And that's when things started to kind of go haywire. People in the chat were starting to get big headaches. I was starting to get kind of loopy from it. We stopped the session. I started texting with people afterwards, and my phone died. Like, it's dead. It's no longer a phone. So, and then it just felt like that there were entities in the house. Okay. And I get this is, tinfoil hat time over here, but truly, you can always use your animal as a barometer. And he was long gone. My cat was long gone, couldn't be seen anywhere. But the kicker was, the next day, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at something, and I look down. I'm sitting and I look down, and all of a sudden blood starts coming out of my nose. And I do not know why that would be. And it had kind of led to a succession of not so many great months that I'm personally finally starting to get out of. But the thing is, Michael, and I don't know, I'm curious your idea, like the film Signs, where it's kind of like a predator sort of, masking of these creatures. I personally firmly believe that is possible, and that's what happened. Have you given that any thought, or have you have any opinions on that?
So, I think, well, first of all, the whole fact that that you have this communication or potential communication through the spirit box or the ghost box, and it's not just a random answer to a question. You're asking, about, we're coming, well, are you coming to Earth or coming for me, for you? So it seems to be more of an intelligent answer.
Yeah.
Versus just hearing something random 2 times in a row that happened to be very closely related.
Right.
And then the nosebleed part, again, these could all be really unrelated or interconnected.
Absolutely.
Did you have any missing time associated with any of this?
Well, so that's interesting because I did not, but the thing is, I went to bed. So what would I know?
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because it was at night. It was at night. I stayed up till about midnight, 12:30, talking, texting with people. Then my phone died, and then I went to bed. And it just honestly, and I don't want to try to make a mountain out of a molehill here, but it felt like that there was something in the corner of the room all night. It was just not a great feeling, and it's not one I want to revisit. And it's actually, I was a big spirit box person. I use it a lot. And since then, I've used it a handful of times. It's like it really dropped down since then, because it's like that, to me, that opened the door. That opened the door that I asked for. And it is that whole thing of like, careful for what you wish for, because it just might happen.
Yeah, so I'm a really big fan of John Keel's work at the moment. Been reading a lot of his work, and really find that the longer I've been doing this field, whether it's aliens, whether it's, cryptids, looking at ghosts, the more I really find that I agree with his conclusions that, what we consider to be aliens or ghosts or cryptids are really just the same. They're a different manifestation of the same entities, and he used the term ultra terrestrials. And if they can manifest themselves, whether it's as the Mothman down there in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, which people are probably very well familiar with, or it can be as a ghost, or it can be as your classic gray. There's no reason why I don't think they can infiltrate our own minds and our own psyche, and it certainly can become very unhealthy. There's no doubt about that.
I get where you're coming from with that, and I have a kind of a slightly different view on that, but it's pretty much the same in the sense that it's pretty much the same in the sense that how you go about it, how you go about getting these entities to communicate with you is the same. There is no difference. If and I think the biggest case in point is a cryptid. I think that that's where I really agree with you, that they are really not. They're not animals. They're not like a deer or a bear that just kind of is lost in this forest, and that we might see them occasionally. Because every time I've had any sort of cryptid experience, which are all Bigfoot experiences, it's always preceded by elementals.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, that's interesting. I want to keep talking about that, but I want to bring up John's question here real fast. John would like to know, what are your thoughts on people that wake up at certain time and are standing there in a different part of the house, looking up outside, looking at a ship, or very bright, like moving away from your location. So I think what John is saying is that if someone is waking up and maybe it's on maybe not a regular basis, but more than once, but it's kind of reenacting the same sort of thing, and they're watching something like go away from them? Like what had just happened to them? I don't know.
So, John, that's a great question, and it's something I've heard very similar reports from others who have reported having contactees, and they're not always consciously aware of the fact that they've had direct contact with an alien entity or what they believe to be an alien entity. But a lot of times it's remembering the ship. They remember seeing either a very specific shape, the triangles are very big out here in the Hudson Valley. A lot of people see triangles, but they do see other shapes, ovals, cigar shapes, circles. But they'll remember very specifically about the ships, whether they make noise, how bright they are, how far away they are, how they block out. In some cases, people report, I can normally see the lights from the shopping mall half a mile away from my bedroom. It was big enough, it was blocking out those lights, but they won't remember much else. And it's usually perplexing to them because, again, it's very like they wake up and there they are. Sometimes they're outside the house, sometimes they're in their bedroom, and they're not aware of anything that led up to that moment. They're not aware of anything prior to that other than they're in bed and suddenly now they're waking up and they're looking outside, or they're outside and they're seeing some type of a craft that they don't know what it is. And in those cases, the people that I've heard from usually have a very sense of dread attached to it because they don't know. There's that, what's happening to me.
Right. And do you find that this, when you hear other people talk about it, is it a semi-regular occurrence or at least more than once?
Yes. Yeah. Most people tend to have these recurring experiences. Definitely more than once.
Yeah. And that's, one of the things too, I like from my experience, whatever happened to me, I'm not going to say that I was, abducted by anything. And John adds to it, being in bed and end up outside looking up. So last thing they remember is being in bed. And then next thing they know, they're outside looking and a ship is moving away from them. And can I just say, I know I'm jumping around all over the place, and actually, I'm going to hold on to that until the next segment, so we have a little bit more time to talk about it. But I was going to say, Michael, is that one of the things that I find people are like, I'd love to be abducted. I'd love to meet them. I'd love this. I'd love that. I truly careful for what you wish for, because I read a lot of books about abductions and about regular abductions of aliens that have been with these people their whole life since they were like 4 years old. It's not pleasant. There's nothing good about this.
No. And I think I've probably spoke to fewer than maybe a handful of people that had positive experiences or considered it a positive experience to have had contact or been abducted. By and large, it's a terrifying experience. People don't like it. They feel violated. They're petrified.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to mention, kind of along with what John was saying, a lot of people that wake up and have these sudden experiences, they find out when talking to other family members that this is something others have had in the family. It's often generational. So they may not be aware of it, but some guy who's in his 40s finds out that his father had this same type of issue when he was younger, or his grandfather, and you start to find out that this is generational in families. It's not talked about. And it's the same thing with abductions and contact. Typically when families, there's that shame, there's that, I think a lot of people don't know how to bring it up. They don't know what's even going on. They're not confident enough to say it's really happening. But when the people start to put it out there and talk as families, all of a sudden it starts to come out, well, when I was a kid, this happened, or,
sure,
I had this happen when I was your age, or things like that. And I think it's very common. But as for abductions being positive, very few people, from my experience, report positive experiences. It's not something they look forward to. And I don't certainly encourage people to ask to be abducted. I don't want to be abducted.
No. I mean, and because like, for example, whatever happened to me, it might be nothing. It might be just a lot of coincidental things adding up to be, making 2 + 2 = 7 or something. You know what I mean? but still, even that was frightening enough. Michael, I'm going to see if I can find a picture during break here. I'm going to send it to you, and I want to talk about it when we get back. It's something that John Marson and I have experienced together, if I can find it in time.
Okay, awesome.
So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead, take another break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation. Anyone else who has questions for Michael, please put them in the chat. We're more than happy to answer them. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950.
If you own a holistic or metaphysical business and are looking to expand, then you need to be listed on metamorphosisconnections.com. It's a network where you can grow with like-minded practitioners and reach new clients. Metamorphosisconnections.com is an online directory you need to list yourself and your business. Our platform makes it easy for you to create listings of your products and services, and you can also choose to list your classes, events, and so much more. Metamorphosisconnections.com helps you create weekly and monthly promotional ads targeted towards your potential clients and promotes them for you via social media and newsletter. There are clients searching for your specialty right now. Let us help them find you. Start your listing today so you can share your own unique gifts and talents by finding the level of membership that best fits your needs. Let us help you reach your clients that are searching for what you do. Visit metamorphosisconnections.com and sign up today.
Hello, I'm Jody, also known as Witch Jody on social media. I opened Midwest Witchery and Healing in historic Stillwater because as a nurse, I love to help others. When you come and visit Midwest Witchery and Healing, you will find everything from divination and magical services, classes to ritual tools, jewelries, handcrafted candles, witchy gear, and much more. My store is a safe environment for all on their own unique path. Look for the purple door. Find out more at MidwestWitcheryHealing.com.
This Halloween, visit and investigate one of the most haunted houses in Minnesota, the Boyd House, located in Boyd, Minnesota, just 2 hours southwest of the Twin Cities. Other people who have investigated the house heard audible, disembodied voices, seen shadows and apparitions, and so much more. Book your overnight investigation at BoydHouse217.com. No need for a hotel. You could stay in the house if you dare.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Showers and thunderstorms continue tonight with a low of 51, then Wednesday cloudy with a high of 60. Latunji's Palette is a social enterprise business built with purpose and fortified with love. Discover the best peach cobbler in the world at Latunji's Palette, 1400 Park Avenue South in Minneapolis. Visit the website at latunjispalette.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
And join me tomorrow on GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun. We're going to have on author Anna Maria Manalo. She's going to talk to us about her brand new book, The Infernal, 3 Students in a Rental Cursed by a Witch. If you've listened to the show, we had her on in August and scared the hell out of everyone, including Adam, who runs the board, with actually true stories that were pretty chilling with the night visitant. So definitely check us out tomorrow. She's great to have on, and it's going to be a great program as well. Really, really looking forward to it. But right now, we are having a fantastic conversation with Michael J. Worden. We've been talking about aliens. We've been talking about what he's been experiencing and helping people understand things a little bit better. Now, Michael, did you get the picture I sent over to you?
Oh, I'm looking right now. Yes.
Now take a look at. Have you ever seen that before?
No.
So, folks, what it is, and I've talked about this before. I think I've when Sherilyn Carter was on the program, I think I shared this with her. Something that John and I had saw in his backyard. He's in a very rural area, a very clean nighttime sky. If I had time, I'd put it up on the screen for everyone to see. But for those who want to know, it's basically a circle appears in the sky, and then ships come out through it. And what we had seen was the circle in the sky, if you will, and then a ship come out and it drops and it moves forward, and right away another one comes out and drops and moves forward. And John and I probably seen what, John? Literally like 70 of them. We just sat there and we watched and we watched and we watched, and we just stopped watching. It was still happening. And people are like, well, that's Skylink. That is not Skylink. That is absolutely not Skylink. So it was very strange. And then when I saw that picture on Facebook, someone posted that. Yeah, John says we stopped counting. That's totally the case. When I saw that picture, I sent it over to John. I'm like, does this look familiar to you? And he's like, absolutely. So Michael, that I wanted you to see that. It's crazy. It is truly crazy.
Yeah, that's and how many ships did you see coming out?
I thought we saw like nearly 70 of them, but like John said, we stopped counting. I mean, it's almost like we got bored with it, because it's just like, gosh, does this not end? I mean, it just kept coming out and coming out. And it's like, where are these ships going? On a very on a tangential point, John's like well over 70. Okay. I'm happy to hear. I'm glad I'm not like inflating numbers over here. But also in that area where he lives, and I'm not going to say where it is because no one, that's his business where he lives. But there was a UFO sighting the night before, and it made it into the local email group or chat group or whatever else, and there was pictures of it. And then when they went to go look, like John and his wife Chris were going to show me it, they saw that the picture had been removed from the group. So it's like, okay, well, and that could just very well be that they debunked it and they thought, well, this is silly, and they took it off. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the X-Files, but it's also very interesting. It all kind of happened at once.
Right. That's fascinating. I would like to learn more about that, actually. I've heard accounts where they come out of what appears to be clouds, but never like what that drawing that you just sent was. I'm going to be sending that to my friend Linda tomorrow. Like, hey, what do you think? Have you heard of this?
Now, it's interesting that you bring up clouds. So my friend Robert, who actually rents my basement, he came home yesterday and he's just like, I got to tell you what I saw. And he's driving in St. Michael, which is where I live. And he saw this massive, I think he said like kind of a cloud that was just thin and straight up and down. And it like emulated light from it, and it was moving, but it was moving very, very fast, and it moved so fast, and it was a very cloudy day yesterday, and it moved behind another big cloud, and he said that big cloud reminded him of like the cloud that would precede the ship in Independence Day.
Okay.
But it moved behind it. Where in Independence Day, you saw the cloud and then the ships would come through. Whatever this was, which was lighter, it was white. It moved behind the cloud, the dark cloud, which also would have to mean that it's going the opposite direction of the cloud system coming in.
Right.
So, and it's like, wow, that's pretty crazy. Once again, I don't have an answer for it. And he said it moved so fast he couldn't get like video of it.
That I definitely believe.
Right. And for all we know, it could be, and I'm not doubting what he says, but for all we know, it could be light on a plane that creates some sort of like, because it's partly cloudy, it's sunset, anything can happen. But he's a pretty smart guy. So for him to be like, this was happening and I don't have an answer for it. And for someone he certainly believes, but he's not easily susceptible, say like I could be, so I mean, I took it as being something very worthwhile to kind of consider. And, I should actually go to the St. Michael Facebook pages and see if anyone else had talked about it, in the community pages and stuff. See if anyone else had mentioned it. I'm going to do that, actually. Linda Judd had a question for you. She wanted to know if you think that MUFON is the organization who can help answer questions of folks who have been abducted. What are your thoughts on MUFON, I guess?
Yeah, I think MUFON, is one of those groups. They have standards, they try to adhere to. I know just to be an investigator of those, you have to go through their selection process.
Yeah.
Not anybody can just, join MUFON tomorrow and be like going out interviewing potential abductees the next day.
Yeah.
They try to protect their name and their reputation. So I don't think any one organization or person is going to solve anything. It's going to be really the collaborative work of a bunch of people, whether it's me, yourself, MUFON and other individuals and groups out there. But MUFON is definitely in a great position because they are national, they are large, and they do have a great network of people. So they're able to connect people who ordinarily may not necessarily talk to one another.
Yeah.
Which, networking. So, again, MUFON is definitely a great resource, and they're going to come up with, I think, they're going to be a key to answering a lot of the questions. Unfortunately, I don't know how many of these answers we're going to have in my lifetime, your lifetime, or potentially, how many lifetimes.
Well, and that's a good question. What do you think of that congressional committee? Do you think that was a step forward or a smokescreen, or what are your thoughts on that?
I've grappled with this since it became out because, on one hand, I think that the government has to know more than they're letting on.
Yeah.
Even if they're not necessarily great at keeping secrets all the time, but something like this, if truly the government was in possession of UFO technology, including potentially wrecked craft or biological remains, I can see where that's going to be a very well guarded secret. On the other, are they calling, they're having all these hearings and committees and we're going to start collecting reports. Is it just to make people shut up? Like, hey, we're taking you seriously. They just had a report come out from the Department of Defense a few days ago with reporting a certain amount of sightings. I think it was like 270 something on, the UAPs, as they call them.
Yeah.
And a lot of them from military personnel in restricted airspace.
Yeah.
But of course, they're pretty sure that they're probably nothing that can't be explained. So what are you saying? Your own pilots aren't trained well enough to recognize things that they should be able to recognize,
There's no good answer. I mean, and it's kind of a catch-22, isn't it? Just for that point that you just made. If they are struggling to try to figure out what some of this stuff is, and it's so easy for people to point back and be like, well, then you're how are you going to tell if an enemy whatever is coming towards us if you can't tell what this is or whatever else that might be, or stuff flying over from China or whatever the case may be. It's really tough. And I had on Erica Luke's ufologist. She's been on Ancient Aliens and stuff, and she's just like, this is a big smokescreen, kind of to what you had alluded to, like, okay, this might shut some people up. And I'm like, well, what do you think of how the next hearing is going to be? And she's just like, what next hearing? She's like, I'll be very surprised if they all get back together again. I mean, they did something. And, she also had mentioned the idea of, Jeremy Corbyn and George Knapp, who are the two that kind of are the outsiders who were pushing to get this going and stuff. She calls it a weaponization of this information of aliens, that, weaponizing this information, weaponizing the government in terms of what UFO is, and almost maybe even trying to cause some sort of, maybe a panic attack or something about that. I mean, once again, you don't call politics for nothing, right? I mean, politics is all about what is the shell. What is the shell that actually has the real information underneath it, right?
And I think that's a good point. I think if you create enough chaos and questions, no one really knows what the truth ever is. So, deception, disinformation are classics throughout history. People have used it. We used it to great effect in World War II. I mean, we had the Germans convinced we were going to invade, France through the Pont de Calais with a fake army headed by Patton. And even on the morning of June 6th, 1944, when we're landing ashore on the beaches, Hitler was, and the German command was convinced this was a decoy. We were still going to land because they were so well convinced. So if you can have people ingrained in the UFO field unsure of what the truth is, it just keeps people guessing. And I think disinformation, there's been allegations for a long time that the government has plants in the UFO community to look ridiculous and to say ridiculous things to undermine the credibility. So, the best way to keep people guessing is to just keep throwing things out there.
Absolutely. As we're running out of time, Michael, can you remind us where we can find your podcast, please?
Yeah, so you can find us on Apple Podcast or any of the, podcast streaming services. You can go to HudsonRiverRadio.com. It's UFO headquarters. It's UFO HQ. And it's Linda Zimmerman and myself. And again, we new episodes every month, and you have years worth now to binge listen to.
Do it. I mean, this is always fascinating, and this is just a little preview of what Michael talks about and stuff. And Michael, we're going to have you back on sooner rather than later.
I hope so.
Especially when you have something, if you have a book ready to go or something, let me know. We'll get you back on.
Definitely.
Michael J. Worden, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it. And we're going to be back tomorrow. We're going to be talking with Anna Maria Manalo about the Infernal. Everybody, have a great night.
Join me, Tom Hartman, where smart people get their news. The Tom Hartman Program on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis.